Let's take a look at the security settings. As a concept, this is very similar to the presets we covered in another video, meaning the features are more or less the same. If you haven't watched that video, we recommend starting from there to have a better understanding. In the security settings as well, you make sure that at any point in time, the bot, before buying a certain token, performs a series of checks to make sure everything is safe in terms of security and due diligence. The security settings range from selecting which DEX to trade on to different token statistics and to more security-driven KPIs. Let's start with the DEX filter. You can select which DEX to trade on. Most users trade only on reliable DEXs like Radium, PumpSwap or PumpFun, where most quality tokens are launched. You can also trade on Bonk, Orca, Moonshot or Materia, but that's where many very young tokens are launched, so it could be riskier. The token age range helps you avoid very young tokens, which are usually too risky, but also very old tokens, where most of the time there is very little volatility because liquidity is very high. You can define, for example, from 60 minutes, which is 1 hour, to 1,440 minutes, which is a full day. In this case, you're going to trade only tokens that were launched between 1 hour and 1 day ago. You can also enable the market cap range. You want to avoid tokens with a very small market cap below $50,000, but you also don't want to trade very big tokens, for example, above $10 million. The liquidity range is also very important. We always recommend avoiding tokens with very low liquidity to prevent high slippage and rug pulls. At the same time, we also avoid tokens with extremely high liquidity, where usually price drops are very small and rebounds are also very small, so volatility bots may not be very effective. For the volume range, you also have an extra field called period. This defines how much volume the token must have had over the last 24 hours, for example. This is a very important filter. It ensures the bot does not buy a token even after a drop if there is not enough trading activity. The volatility index is a KPI calculated based on how much the price moves over a certain period. Here as well, you can define a minimum level of volatility required to trade a token, but also avoid tokens that are too volatile, which would be excessively risky. All of the above are more performance filters. Below, you'll find more risk-driven KPIs. Mizar is able to label every wallet on the blockchain and identify whether it is a smart sniper wallet, a long-term performing trader, or a malicious or risky wallet. This helps you avoid trading tokens that are heavily used by malicious wallets. Here you have all the smart wallet filters. You can define, for example, to buy a token only if there has been at least $50,000 bought by smart wallets, up to $1 million in the last 24 hours. This is a very powerful way to make sure the token is not a scam. You can also define a range for the number of smart wallets. For example, you may say that you don't want just one smart wallet buying, but at least 10. This increases the probability that the signal is actually reliable. The same logic can be applied on the sell side. Buying only when there is both enough smart buying and enough smart selling is especially useful on chains like BNB and Base to avoid honeypots. If smart wallets are selling, the token is very likely not a honeypot. We always recommend using this filter. You can also define the smart money inflow range, which is the difference between smart wallet buys and sells. This gives you a clearer idea of the money flow is for smart wallets. The price change range will be covered in more detail in another tutorial. In practice, it allows you to avoid buying a token if, in the last 24 hours, the price dropped 100% or increased 100%, for example. This helps avoid buying during a pump and dump while the price is already dumping. Last but not least, we have the risky wallets and fresh wallets filters. Mizar labels risky wallets automatically based on their behavior. Here you can say that you don't want to buy tokens where more than 20% of the buys in the last 24 hours come from risky wallets. We don't recommend setting this too low, otherwise you won't be able to trade any tokens at all, because risky wallets exist everywhere on the blockchain. However, we found that most traders using 20% risky wallets and 50% fresh wallets are able to avoid most rug pulls. The last filter avoids tokens that contain no Latin characters in their name. We developed this feature especially for BNB to help European users avoid buying tokens with names they cannot recognize. If you're happy with all these settings, just close the modal and you can review everything here. You can add or change filters by clicking here or remove them here. If you click Save, you'll be able to review all your filters once again before confirming.